Welcome back to Xbox Corner, my name's Luke, and as we head towards the end of May, Microsoft have once again announced the second batch of leavers for Xbox Game Pass, and while there are a total of 7 titles leaving the service come the 31st of the month, you needn't be too upset with this as we have 12 new titles to replace them. Now you'll find a link to our coverage of this week's new additions down in the description box below, but for now though, hit that like button, subscribe for deals, reviews and Game Pass content weekly, and let's get into it. So as always with these videos, you'll find the details of the completion time for each of the games in the top left corner, and this includes both the main campaign time as well as the completionist time for all you achievement hunters. First up though, we have EA Sports NHL 20, and as with our next title, it's a case of out with the old and in with the new with this one, as NHL 2022 is set to replace it. Now there's not much to really say about the gameplay with this one, it's hockey, and if you're into hockey you've no doubt had your fill of NHL 20 and have been eagerly awaiting the next release. The new game however uses the Frostbite game engine, so you can expect some nice sweet new visuals to enjoy, as well as a few new features and more of that classic hockey goodness. Now our next game, Farming Simulator 19, is also set to be replaced by Farming Simulator 2022, and with it comes a bunch of new features for you to enjoy. This series though just seems to be growing in popularity. The game has over 50,000 positive reviews on Steam, and who would have thought that driving around in a combine harvester or ploughing a field all day could be so much fun. Now the newest iteration obviously expands on the 2019 version, bringing even more vehicles, crops and terrain for you to work with, and in all honesty, like Lawn Mowing Simulator, this one is a really chill one, and if you haven't yet played any of this series, then make sure to give the latest one a go. So Knockout City launched around a year ago, and myself and Alex had a great time playing this one during its beta phase. It's a dodgeball game which plays a bit like a third person shooter, and the game sees you facing off in 3v3 or 4v4 battles to the death as you launch balls, bombs and even other players at your opponents. Now from what we experienced, the main objective in the game was to eliminate all of your opponents before they eliminate you, though I dare say that it's expanded on this formula since the beta and added a bunch of new features into the mix. Overall though, it's an interesting concept, and one of those games that is great to jump into with friends, and not too bad with randomers either. So possibly the biggest game to leave the service this week is Resident Evil 7, a game which saw a turning point in the Resident Evil series as it swapped out the classic third-person camera for a first-person perspective and the zombies for the Bakers, an insane chainsaw massacre family led by Chief Nutjob Jack Baker. Exploring the Baker mansion, its winding halls and secret passageways, you'll be searching for your missing wifey whilst trying to avoid coming into contact with any of the Baker family members, and this one is an absolute gem of a game, and in my opinion one of the best in the series. It has some fantastic atmosphere, its horror elements are incredibly well implemented, and if you get a chance to play it in VR, you most definitely should. So Spellforce 3 Soul Harvest is our next lever, and I have to admit this is not one that I've heard of, probably because it's a PC Game Pass only title. The game though is a standalone expansion to the original game, featuring around a 20-hour campaign for you to play through, and it looks to have a similar style of gameplay, mixing RPG and RTS elements. As you command one of 5 different factions, including orcs, elves and dwarves, you'll be fighting wars on many different fronts, and leading your army to victory in what is apparently a reworked sector-based RTS system. One to give a go though if you're into your real-time strategies and are looking for something new to play. Our penultimate game on this list then, Superhot Mind Control Delete, is arguably one of the most original FPS games on the platform, and if you've never heard of the Superhot series, the unique gimmick with this one is that time only moves when you do. Taking advantage of these time manipulating mechanics, the game kinda plays a little bit like a puzzle game, as each short level drops you into different scenarios where you need to work out the most efficient way to destroy your enemies. This entry though expands on the Superhot universe and is a much larger game overall. There are a ton of new weapons for you to handle, new bosses and enemy types, and an awesome selection of unique skills for you to acquire to use to your advantage. And if there's one game on today's list that I suggest playing before it disappears, it would most definitely be this one. The final game on today's list is Yes, Your Grace, and this is one that I've heard of but to be honest know very little about. From what I gather though, the game has you playing as the King of Davern, a medieval kingdom with a needy bunch of inhabitants, and as is your duty, you'll have to listen to their pleas and requests and then decide whether or not to help them. As per usual though, war is on the horizon, so you're going to need some allies, but how far are you willing to go and who will you upset in the process? It's a game about choices and the impacts that they have, and so if you fancy yourself a bit of a ruler, then why not give it a go? And so that just about does it for another month of Leave Us. We'll no doubt have a new announcement come the start of April, but until then, was there anything in today's list that you're going to be jumping in on before it leaves? Maybe a bit of Superhot like I suggested? Let us know down in the comments section below. As I said, make sure to check out the new arrivals as there's a couple of tasty ones in there, and if you're looking for more content like this, as well as deals, reviews and graphical comparisons, then consider subscribing to the channel. For now though, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks everyone, take care.